What's going on, H-Town, Houston Rockets fans, no matter where you are? This is Rockets Daily, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, where we talk all things Houston Rockets here early in the 2026 year. Appreciate everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Helped us reach 1,000 subscribers before the beginning of this year. And we're looking for 1,000 more and much, much more. Thanks for all the comments so far. We're going to go ahead and touch on some of those comments on today's episode. And we're also going to touch on this win/loss, which was really a loss, to the Portland Trailblazers. Thought it was a win for just about a minute there. But welcome to Rockets Daily, once again brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. So, what do we have to talk about today? It's the Rockets 103-102 loss to the Blazers, not 104-103 win. And a couple different things with this. Well, one thing that was going through my mind immediately when Tari Eason tipped in Kevin Durant's miss at the buzzer was how ugly this game was. And it really, even an angle for this show, that replay changed so many things. Because in real time, looking at this game, this never really felt to me throughout the flow of the game like a game that the Rockets were going to win. And I'm not talking about before the game, right? I thought it should be a game that the Rockets should win before the game, but when you saw how it was played, I'm even falling behind, down double digits early in the third quarter. Kevin Durant kept making big shots throughout the game, really willing us back into this game so many different times. Jabari Smith Jr. had a terrible night. Tari Eason was all over the boards, but struggled shooting. The whole team really struggled shooting the ball overall. There were so many ugly things, but in the fourth quarter, led by Kevin Durant, even had a big three by Jabari Smith there in the fourth quarter, a big shot by Tari Eason, and to even be trailing by 4 points in that final minute and 3 points with 5.9 seconds left, and then Kevin Durant gets fouled. And just an outstanding defensive play there on the inbound pass. There were so many ugly things about this game overall, and it felt like once you saw that tip in, it was like, wow, this is one of those games. Now, Portland Trailblazers, I know we don't have Şengün, but the Portland Trailblazers are also shorthanded. They're not at 100% either. Denny Advia had an outstanding game. As Coach Udoka said in the press conference afterwards, that the Rockets were just completely out of their game plan for the ways that they were intending to defend him. So he lit us up. But despite all that, you look at this, and 37% from the floor, 22% from three, 69% from the free throw line. Not really a game that you're supposed to win, but almost pulled it out. But almost doesn't count. Now, first, when I saw that tip in, even the first two replays, I didn't think it was going to be conclusive evidence. But these angles, these cameras, they're so good now. And they made the right call. They did make the right call. The tip in at the buzzer by the smallest margin, but it was still looked like to be on Atari's fingertips there. So overall, it is a 103-102 loss to the Portland Trailblazers. Get this same team again on Friday night, but definitely disappointing overall. And this was really a game that didn't deserve to win. It's always good to win. I guess you'd rather win the games that you don't deserve to win than lose them, because you got to steal some games. It would have been great to see the Rockets win ugly, but big takeaway here, this dropping the Rockets all the way down to sixth in the Western Conference, and I understand that Şengün's not playing right now, but the reality of the situation right now is sixth in the Western Conference, and if the playoffs started today, which they don't, we'll be facing the Denver Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs, and second round, the winner of the San Antonio Spurs versus a play-in team game. I guess the benefit of that would be don't have to play the Oklahoma City Thunder until the Western Conference Finals. Although the Oklahoma City Thunder right now are not looking like world beaters after a couple losses, and they did win last night against the Utah Jazz. They're about an 18.5 point favorite, and they needed overtime to knock them off. So everyone right now is showing flaws, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment here with one of the comments that we had. And we're going to talk really about are the Rockets right now a contender? Do you consider the Rockets a true contender? Do we think that we're even more of a contender than we were at this point last year? I know the expectations were a lot lower last year, but I don't know. We're gonna get into that here in just a second. But right before I do, I'll let you guys know that fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back. And Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, this weekend, looking at this Rockets Blazers game on Friday. It should be another good spot for Kevin Durant to get over on points. Denny Avdia for the Portland Trailblazers. Is he going to get another game of big overs or big hires? Or is he going to go lower on some projected places? But anyway, looking at Kevin Durant, Denny Avdia on those higher or lower with Underdog Fantasy. Download the app today and use promo code BasketballFan to score $75 in bonus entries. When you play your first $5, it's promo code BasketballFan. And of course, you can look at your higher and lowers with Underdog Fantasy. All right. So before we really dive into these comments, I do want to talk about this Trae Young trade because we've talked about the point guard needs and what it would really take. And we see Corey Crispert and a 34-year-old CJ McCollum, though, who's averaging just under 19 points per game, going to the Atlanta Hawks. The price seems a little bit light for Trae Young. I was seeing the rumors that he wanted to be a Washington Wizard, which it's kind of interesting because it's like who wants to be a Washington Wizard? I mean, you just have never hear that. I know Michael Jordan was that front office position ownership way back in the day. Yeah, that's the organization that he was a part of running. He played for the Wizards, but other than that, don't really see too many guys say that they want to be a Washington Wizard. Wondering if the Wizards and Trae Young, if they'll re-sign him. But overall, and the reason for bringing this up is, and it could be a one-year rental, and I guess you're looking at the money going forward. And when you look at our roster, we don't really have a CJ McCollum type player on the roster as far as a guy who's getting a little bit up there in age, who's averaging, under 19 points per game. I mean, I guess our guy, he's averaging more than that, who's getting up there in age, is Kevin Durant. But obviously, Kevin Durant, probably the most important part of this team, one of the most important parts, really almost carried us to a victory yesterday. So point being, we don't really have that a guy like that who you don't see as a part of the future, an aging veteran role player type player, CJ McCollum type player on this roster. So you kind of wonder what it would take that the Rockets have to get Trae Young. But when you look at the picks that we have, how do you guys feel about this with Trae Young going to the Wizards? Should we have Should we have entered the Trae Young sweepstakes? Would he have even wanted to come to Houston? Is it something that we want to be tied to financially in the future? I mean, obviously it didn't happen, but and I guess this Trae Young deal, it's very interesting as we just look at these NBA trades as far as how much some guys go for and how little some guys go for. I mean, Corey Crisper, not a bad player, 26 years old, averaging about 9.2 points per game, and C.J. McCollum, I mean, more of a piece on a team that's set to try to win now, or a guy that you take because you're trying to free up some salary cap space, in the future and have a contract that's not going to be on the books for a very, very long time. So just very interesting, and you kind of wonder if the Rockets are going to stand pat or if we're going to make a move. And really, if you look at the way that the team's playing right now, is it even worth making a move? Now, of course, there's a couple different ways to look at this thing. And in one aspect, as we look at it, and I'm going to go ahead and get into the comments here. There's one comment here that I really want to dive into that's going to set this up. And I appreciate all the comments that we get. I definitely read each and every one of them. But we're looking at, I don't see the Rockets. This one came from Junior Garcia. I don't see the Rockets winning anything. Maybe the first round of the playoffs. And that's it. So no trade is better. Thunder, Nuggets, Spurs, Lakers are tough. The Lakers are going to get a good player for very little in a trade. It always happens. And, I can't completely disagree with I can't disagree with that comment completely. Obviously, you hope that this team goes beyond the first round of the playoffs. But right now, I mean, only sixth, and it's been a fun season in a lot of ways. And I don't want to know how you guys are really even feeling overall. As we talk about temperature checks and whatnot, because there's been a lot of optimism, but already have been not on the right side of the health. There's a couple different ways to look at this. In one instance, this team is not playing well right now. Şengün's out. It's the third game in a row, at least as far as keeping track here, of just terrible shooting, especially from long range. We talked about this being a low volume 3-point shooting team, but extremely efficient. And now that's starting to go the other way. The volume is revving up. The makes are going down, getting good looks. Guys aren't knocking them down. Playing ugly. This yesterday was a really, really ugly game. Another ugly game. We got an ugly win, and now we had one that almost stole another one, but we didn't. So when you look at that, you could say, well, Fred VanVleet, that changed things. Dorian Finney-Smith didn't have him when we expected. Tari Eason missed a little bit of time. Now Alperen Şengün is out, and despite all that, still, and I mentioned sixth in the West, but a couple different things here. It could be third, second in the West. It is it is doable. So you can look at all those things and say that we've gone through so much adversity at the beginning. The comment is mentioning those teams, but Oklahoma City looked just unbeatable. They looked like the best team ever at the beginning. They looked like there was no way to beat this team. Now they're running into some struggles. Maybe they peaked too early. The San Antonio Spurs look really good, but still a young team like the Rockets. They still have a lot to prove. Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron's up there in age. They're dealing with an injury right now to Austin Reeves. And the Los Angeles Lakers have really not been a good defensive team overall. There's flaws there. Denver Nuggets, they've had their history with injuries, although they're a really strong team as well. Now, as fall of six, got to put the Minnesota Timberwolves in the mix too. But do we really believe we can't beat Minnesota? So, and it's not, obviously you got to beat more than one of these teams. You got to go through three of them. So there's when you look at all that, adversity and the different ways that the Rockets can win and just getting more possessions and just dominating the boards against everyone and how flawed we've been so far, there's room to say, yeah, we can make a move and overcome any of these teams. But you also could see why it's just sometimes we just when it comes to those games where it really feels like we just need that are going to really make you feel like we've turned the corner. They just don't happen, and I think that and I guess looking at this schedule before, like I said, it looked like we could run the table, but it said the game at Dallas is going to be tough, and those two games in Portland are going to be tough. And obviously, we lost one of those. Hopefully, we salvage a game on Friday, and we lost that game to Dallas. So still, right now, this team's still losing a lot of games that they're not still losing. You're still able to see some of the losses coming, and not not really proving you wrong at certain points. But at the same time, like I said, we're not at 100%, but also Portland was far from 100% as well. They had about 7 guys out. So, I mean, we had Shangoon out, but Blazers are not at 100% either. For what's that worth? How are you guys feeling right now? Temperature check. How do you feel about Trae Young going to the Wizards? Are you disappointed that we weren't in on it? Do you think that we need to be in on the point guard? Or we just need to keep on running the. We'll see. I think we still have about another month to see how these things play out. But a little bit, really, very deflating, emotional roller coaster there of just being disappointed with how ugly that Blazers game was, and then like, getting excited for just a moment, like we got one, and then realizing it was a loss. So this has been Rockets Daily, brought to you guys by Underdog Fantasy. I'll see you tomorrow.